Hey guys, Dennis here with Revog Games. I'm joined by,
Joshua Weyers, all the way in South Africa.
and this is our Revog Games podcast that we do weekly. This week, we're going to be talking about our most anticipated games. Last week, we talked about our top games of 2021. We're going to talk about our most anticipated games for 2022. So yeah, a lot of big games coming out this year, and looking forward to it. How about yourself?
I mean, I'm looking forward to it. Definitely more than last year. Like, there was a couple good games last year, but there's a couple that I'm mainly looking forward to this year, which I guess we're about to hop into right now. Hell, I mean, we got some good games coming out next month, even. You know what I mean? Starting with the Horizon, but let's see. What's your list looking like?
All right, so we're gonna go counting down from 5 to 1, like last time. If we have a duplicate, we'll mention it, and then we'll go over a bunch of, instead of honorable mentions, we'll talk about just a bunch of big games that are coming out
Yeah.
next year or this year. Sorry, we're in 2022. I keep forgetting. So, anyways, I'll start with number 5, and it's a interesting one for me. Because of the franchise is a franchise, I like, but I'm not like a big obsessed fan about it. But what they're proposing is interesting given that world, and it is Hogwarts Legacy, which is the action RPG that's coming out based on the Harry Potter franchise. Now it takes place in the late 1800s, so you're not going to be, you're not playing as Harry. You're not running across any of the characters that you know and love. It's students at Hogwarts, but that gives it kind of a nice freedom for them to do with the story, so they don't have to avoid certain things that would conflict. You know what I mean? Like, let's say you played a character and then I don't know, killed Draco Malfoy. So, you know what I mean? Like, you're avoiding all that kind of things that would kind of conflict with an existing canon, I guess, with the books and the movies. I said, I'm not like a, I like Harry Potter, the movies, to varying degrees, but I'm not like, I never read the books. I've never visited.
It's such a different game from other games we've played. Like, regardless of it just being Harry Potter, it's like it's a wizarding RPG. Like, what other wizarding RPG have you ever played? That's gonna be really exciting and fresh. That's my number 4, by the way.
Okay.
Should mention.
Yeah,
on
you
the topic,
should.
actually.
Yeah.
That's my number 4. But yeah,
I'm glad you have it on there, because I thought I was going out there and like being like the only one, especially not being this big like Potterhead where I'm like, oh, I know. I'm one of those people who I watch the movies and I enjoy them, and then when people start naming like characters or spells or whatever, like I'm like no idea what you're talking about. Like, other than the few main characters, like I just don't remember anything. I just remember I enjoyed it, and so
it's got a very good world. You know what I mean? It seems like the RPG mechanics, I don't think it's going to be too deep, but I think it's going to be fun at the end of the day. Like, it doesn't seem like it's going to be a very complex game, but it does look like it's going to be a lot of fun. I think it's worth mentioning one of the other games. I know we said no honorable mentions, but there is another game coming out that was almost going to be on the list, but I'm not too sure about it, which is the Avatar game coming out.
Yeah, that
Frontiers of Pandora. So I didn't put that on there. Like, of the two, I think I'm more interested in the Hogwarts game. Though the Avatar game from that trailer we saw a while ago did look really cool, and it looks like it'll be fun in its own way. But I think Hogwarts is something that's just gonna like get me more invested, in the story.
Yeah, I had that on the list, not my list of like most anticipated, but on the list of games that we would discuss, and Avatar was on there. It does look cool. Like I mentioned before, it's like I am a little wondering about that first person choice that they have instead of third person on that game. And then 2, I don't believe. I think it's just more of like an action game where this Hogwarts Legacy. It's my type of game, which is an open world RPG, action RPG, where
Yeah.
you get to kind of explore, probably the school and the surrounding areas, and meet and talk to characters and customize your character and upgrade certain, your spells and your powers and all that good stuff. So it's right up my
Get
alley.
sorted into get into your own houses, have
Yeah.
like your inter-house competitions. There'll probably be Quidditch. It's gonna be
Yeah.
great.
Uh,
Whereas like Avatar, like you said, it's gonna be fun, but I also don't know how I feel about the whole first-person thing.
mhm.
As much as I loved Cyberpunk, to this day, I still don't know how I feel about like the combat makes sense in first person, but not being able to switch to third person just for like walking around for like you want to see your character, you know what I mean? I
Mhm.
want to see you want to see in an RPG, you want to see what your person looks like. You're grinding for loot, you're constantly changing their appearance. You want to see what they look like. So that's another reason. Also, it's the kind of game that seems like it'll be short, like short, not super short, but I don't know. I don't see it like being more than a 20-hour game, the Avatar game.
Mhm.
Whereas the Hogwarts, I can see that being like at least a
Uh,
fairly good in-depth game. Also, like if it does well, I can see it getting a sequel.
oh yeah,
Like with,
for sure.
whereas with the Avatar game, I don't think it would get a sequel.
Yeah, according to Warner Bros., J.K. Rowling is not involved with this game,
Good.
and so this game was actually supposed to come out in 2021. Remember, and then it got delayed, which probably is for the
Yeah.
best. But yeah, anyways, looking forward to that game. What's your number 5? Since your number 4 was this.
My number 5 is actually Total War Warhammer 3.
Oh, okay.
I love RTS games. I just love strategy games in general, or like base building games, like city building games. Those kind of management games I really enjoy, and I enjoy RTS games as well. Total War Warhammer 2 is one of my favorite games of all time, and I guess the reason why this made it on the list is because it's coming out soon, like really soon,
Mm-hmm.
and it's coming out to Game Pass on day one on PC, which I'm really excited about. Um, but yeah, I think it's the only like as far as I know, it's the only big RTS game coming out this year, which is kind of how it goes. It's not like there's more than one RTS that comes out a year. It's rare for there to be a big RTS game anyways, you know what I mean? Total War being one of those series.
Mm-hmm.
Like we got Age of Empires last year, which I played the crap out of and I loved it. Like literally I played the crap out of the multiplayer for Age of Empires. So I'm looking forward to Total War Warhammer. Just playing the campaigns. It's long. It is one of those games where it took me very long to get into because it's not like other RTS games. It's a lot more complex in terms of like the battles that you're fighting. You know what I mean? Like you got to position your people around. It's a lot more strategic, to a degree, a lot stressful in the beginning. So I'd say the learning curve is steep, but like it's one of those games where when you get into it, it's just endless fun. You can keep doing just keep doing the campaigns over again, do different moves and stuff. So that's my number 5. I'm looking forward to that. And actually, I am pretty confident that it's gonna get incredibly good reviews on Steam, and it's probably gonna be like, I think it's gonna dominate Steam for a while because it comes out soon, and there's no other like big contenders coming out around that time.
Cool. All right. So my number 4 is Redfall, and to be honest, watching the kind of like the teaser trailer that they released and the name and the concept, it's cool. It's not exactly right up my alley, but the reason why it's on my list is just kind of with Arcane behind it and being published by Bethesda, plus it's being like this big exclusive that they're releasing. I'm just saying I'm kind of buying into the hype and less about like me actually, you know what I mean? Because it's a first person shooter that's a vampire, world set in a vampire world. So it's almost, yeah. Instead of zombies, it's vampires and it's co-op. So you kind of get, getting some sort of Left 4 Dead, Back 4 Blood feel, but it's vampires instead of zombies. It's an open world. There's probably going to be more story to it, I'm assuming.
Day one on Game Pass as well.
Day one on Game Pass. So I'm buying more into the hype of it and less about like, oh, this is totally a game you know, I've been dying to see. You know.
It seems fun, but it also seems like one of those games that'll fall off quickly.
Yeah. Who
Like
knows?
I don't see longevity to it, but it's not games as a service, so that doesn't matter, you know. You as long as the studio makes their money and then there's a profit on the game, you know.
Hmm.
I think there'll definitely be people playing it. Like it looks it does seem like an interesting idea.
And it seems like they want to, at least change up some of the gameplay mechanics and maybe bring something new to it. But like I said, it's too early to tell. But I am a sucker for co-op games, so that's why I have it at my number 4. You had number 4 Hogwarts Legacy, so why don't we go to you for your number 3 before I say
My
mine?
number three is coming out in a few days, actually.
Okay.
Uh, and regardless of when unlike the previous game, like I said, Total War,
Mm-hmm.
like that's on the list because I know it's coming out soon. I like this. It's funny because there is like it's kind of on the edge of like that and hold on, did I not? Let me look up my list here. Did I? Okay, that was my number one, two, three. 4. Yeah, I'll be honest. Like, I wish I had 6 because it's my number. I'd say my number 4 actually. Hogwarts Legacy is kind of like on par
Mm-hmm.
with the next Legend of Zelda game.
Mm-hmm.
uh, which I'm really looking forward. You know what? No, hold on. Like, I gotta change up this list now because this doesn't make sense to me. I'm gonna say it's tied for number 3. I'm gonna mention 2 games for my number 3. I'm selfish. We're gonna have to go with it. They're both Nintendo games, so it works out.
Okay.
The one's coming out soon, so I'll talk about that. And that's the new Pokemon game, the Legends Arceus, or not Legends of Arceus, but Pokemon Legends Arceus. I really enjoyed the previous Pokemon game. Well, the one that was the standalone for the Nintendo Switch, like for getting a Sword and Shield. That was it. Yeah, I played that. I really enjoyed it because it was one of the first things I got when I got a Nintendo Switch because I was like, hey, I have that option to finally play games like Mario and Pokemon, and like
Mm-hmm.
that's the whole point of getting a Nintendo to trying it out. So I played it expecting to have a bit of casual fun, and I had casual fun, but I really got into it. I really got into the story, and I think it made me remember why I fell in love with Pokemon in the first place. Is that it's such a bare bones RPG because that's really what it is at the end of the day. It's like
Mm-hmm.
an RPG. You're just very toned down. You know what
Mm-hmm.
I mean? So I enjoyed that. There was 2 Pokemon games that they released recently, which were remakes of older games. So it kind of has that like well, the point is I played it before, so I'm looking forward to this because it's new. It's completely new. I have like very little ideas of what to expect for it, so I'm
Mm-hmm.
looking forward to it. I'm obviously gonna get it because I have a Nintendo, and then I'd say that that is tied with my the same hype that I have for Legend of Zelda: Breath of the Wild 2 or whatever
Mm-hmm.
they're gonna call it. We don't really know yet. I don't know if they've confirmed that name or not, but yeah,
Mm-hmm.
those for my number 3, those are my 2 games.
Okay.
If I had to pick one, it probably would be Breath of the Wild 2. It's just currently in my brain, I just thought of Arceus because it's coming out in a few days, so I thought of that one first. But yeah, oh man, yeah, I am excited for the Legend of Zelda: Breath of the Wild 2, if it does come out this year, if there's no delays or anything.
Yeah, let me see. I don't remember. If I had a guess, completely blind because I haven't played the game, and I just feel like it's not this
Yeah,
year. Let's say no.
I
It
mean
says
it's
2022. It says
it's
22.
listed at that, but it's still like to be announced. We don't know when in
Yeah,
2022.
I just feel like
We know very little about the game, to be honest. I feel like it's going to be one of those things where
it's gonna get
before
delayed.
I think it's going to get delayed. Before we know it, it's going to be the end of the year. The game's not going to have come out. They're going
Mm-hmm.
to give us like a trailer this year, and that's it. You
Mm-hmm.
know, I'm just getting that feeling of it. Like I don't know, like the game that I was most hyped for last year never even came out. Like in actual fact, you can still pre-order it, I think, on Steam and possibly Epic, but like the game company has like they said they've like paused indefinitely on development of the game, but they're still taking pre-orders for the game. Anyways, the game is Vampire the Masquerade
Yeah.
Bloodlines 2, which that was one of my the games I looked forward to most, and then they decided to focus on the battle royale instead, which was fun, but like that died out pretty quickly with the
Mm-hmm.
hype. Unfortunate, but yeah, you can still pre-order the game. Oddly enough, I'm not gonna because at this point in time, I don't know. There's something sketchy about that. Like my like I know people that didn't even get their money back, and they kind of want to like they're thinking like, can we still refund at this point?
Mm-hmm.
You know. Um, so yeah, we'll
Uh,
see if that game comes out this year. If not, then yeah, like the new Pokemon game. I'm looking forward to that. I have a Nintendo, so why not? You know,
uh-huh.
I am also looking to Kirby, the new Kirby game. It's not
Mm-hmm.
on my list because I actually never really played Kirby games before. But now that I have a Nintendo, and never ever had a Nintendo before, now I can play Kirby games. So when the new Kirby comes out, I'm gonna definitely try it.
All right, cool. I'm gonna list my number three, and if your number three is your number one, we'll pause and wait till we talk about
Okay,
number ones. But if it's your number two, we can talk about it now. Number three for me is Elden Ring.
that's my number two.
It's your number two, so we can talk about it.
Yeah.
Developed by From Software, obviously has the George R. R. Martin connection. Directed by Hideki Miyazaki. Yeah, game looks fantastic.
It does. It looks freaking. And you know what else I love about it? The price point. At least for me with regional pricing, it's affordable. It's like at least like $10 or $15 cheaper than most AAA games.
Oh,
You
it's
know?
I think it's full price for us here.
Yeah, full price for you
Um,
guys. So that like I got nice. Once again, I also got nice with Cyberpunk, where Cyberpunk ended up costing like I want to say like maybe $45 somewhere around
mhm.
there.
This is coming out actually fairly soon, February 25th,
Yeah,
which is
they
a
pre-orders
little,
opened up a while ago.
yeah, a little over a month from now. I'm probably gonna pre-order on Steam. Speaking of Steam, Elden Ring had just taken over Dying Light 2 for most anticipated game
Oh,
on
nice.
Steam. So yeah, yeah, from all the trailers and the gameplay footage, and actually had quite a lot of like hands-on previews with influencers and reviewers and whatnot. So it's not like the game has been hidden at all, and all feedback from all that has been very positive. I know that I think I don't know if it was I forgot who leaked it, but they leaked the character creator, and people
Yeah.
got pumped for that. And so yeah, just the whole world looks amazing. It looks like there's a lot of stuff you can do, both gameplay wise and just exploration. And the storyline looks like it could. I hope is engaging. I think for me, like that's very very important because when you go and explore, you kind of want to run into different characters and different storylines and get invested into that type of world. And you know what? I mean, this actually, I had debated of putting this number two, but just because I really personally have not played any of the Souls games.
I think
Uh,
this one. I mean, it's still going to be one of those games where you're going to parry. There's going to
yeah.
be a lot of parrying. There's going to be a lot of like dodge and dive rolls.
Mm-hmm.
But it does seem like it's going to be, or at least it seems like it's going to ease you into the combat more. Unlike the previous Souls games where it's just like here's the game,
Hmm.
learn or die.
Yeah.
Like that's pretty much how all the Dark Souls games were. I
Uh-huh.
think this one's going to at least. I don't know. I feel like there'll be a tutorial eases it into you more. And I don't think it'll be as sweaty as the Souls games, where like in the Souls games you can just walk to the wrong part. You can just walk somewhere and be like, "Oh, was I not supposed to be here? Is
Mm-hmm.
everyone here severely overpowered compared to me? Crap." You know? Like this is the kind of game where I feel like that could happen, but like you're going to be like there's going to be enough art detail for you to be like, "Oh, this is a big bad area that I should probably wait till I'm stronger to go into." I'm excited for the horse mechanics. Like I feel like the game mechanics itself is going to be nothing too unique, though the magic does look good. Um, I'm excited in the lore and the
Mm-hmm.
story, and I
Yeah.
think that's what everyone's really excited for. And there's so much lore to this.
Yeah.
With George R. R. Martin that worked on it as well. And when I saw some of the footage I saw of just like the people walking around, there's this, there's I think Okay, yeah, I just had to make sure I didn't have a fever dream. It definitely happened. In one of the clips, like you were talking to a giant like pot, or you're helping this giant pot get out of the ground, and like
Yeah.
not something I would have expected in Elden Ring. Like the game looks so like darker and
Yeah.
edgier and grittier, and it seems like it's gonna have these moments of like absurdity as well, which
Hmm.
I'm really looking forward to.
Also, there's co-op play as well in the game. So
Yeah.
I'm
Also,
looking.
very similar to Souls as well.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Looking forward to that. All right. Why don't you do your
That was my number two. Remember?
number two? Okay.
Oh
Did you
no,
have a number
that was
three?
your number.
What was your number
My
three
number three
again?
was
Oh, that's
my number
right.
three
That's
was
right.
Pokemon, and so yeah, we are on your number two now. I
Okay,
think.
my number two. I'm assuming that this is on your list. If it's number one, I
We
guess
may as well talk
we'll
now,
just talk
'cause
about it now.
I was
It's
gonna say I'd be mentioning my number one next anyways.
yeah. God of War Ragnarok is my number two.
No,
It's not your number one. Okay.
it's not.
It's not on your list. It's not on your top five list.
It's not on my list because I don't have a PS5.
I don't either. I don't have one either. But
Yeah.
but between now and then, I will get one. You know.
Sure, yeah.
Um,
Like that's the same reason Horizon didn't make my both those games would have been on my list.
Okay,
if I had a
Horizon.
PlayStation.
We'll talk about this in a little bit. But the reason Horizon didn't make my list is I never played the first one. I have it. I haven't played it yet. So
you should.
yeah.
Dan.
Where
Story's so good.
where God of War, I played the last one. It was my first God of War game, but I did play the last one. It was amazing. Probably one of the best games I've ever played. And so yes, I'm looking forward to this game. A lot of
I
people.
mean, I'm looking forward to it too, for sure. Like, hopefully, like I said, I'll be able to either borrow a PS5 or who knows, maybe magically one falls out of the sky somewhere.
Mhm.
I'm just gonna enter giveaways until every single day until the game comes out.
Because they don't have a date yet for it, right? If I'm not
Yeah.
mistaken, for
Oh,
2022.
you know, before we get too before I wanted to mention something before we're too far off it, but I did double check now, and apparently Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines 2 is
coming
still
out.
slated for this
Okay.
year, but I highly doubt it because
Mhm.
last time, because a couple of my friends pre-ordered the game and they got a message from the developers saying that they were like pausing production on it like indefinitely and they didn't know when they're going to continue. And that was the last time anybody heard anything. So I
Mhm.
don't think it's going to come out this year either. I just don't. I think they're going to. I think they're going to try to resurrect their battle royale that's dying.
Mhm.
Sorry, but yeah, moving forward.
Yeah, with God of War Ragnarok, yes, I do not have a PS5. Maybe by the time it comes out, I will get one. I'm not sure. Like I said, I had predicted already last year that this wasn't coming out in 2021. I do think it's coming out in 2022, but maybe later than sooner. So there's still time for me to
I
get
think
one.
maybe November-ish.
Yeah. The only concern I have is having what's his face? The kid. What's the kid's name again?
Artreus.
Yeah.
Is it Artreus? Yeah.
He's gone from the annoying kid to the even more annoying
edgy teenager.
Teenager.
Yeah.
Hopefully that doesn't grate on me, and there's some good story in
Well,
there.
I can't say anything for spoiler purposes, but you know who the kid is, right? So maybe, who knows? Maybe
Yeah,
that
yeah, yeah.
edginess plays into who
Yeah.
he is.
We'll see.
We'll see.
But anyways, that's my number two.
Maybe we have the same number one then.
I don't know. Why don't you go with your
Maybe
number
we-
one? What's your number one anticipated game of this year?
Starfield.
That is mine. How's it yours?
Because I love Bethesda, and
So do I.
just-
But I just assumed that.
is
Yeah,
yeah, no.
Yeah,
That's
go-
crazy. Yeah,
go
Starfield's
ahead.
my number one, man. Yeah.
Tell
Now
me
I'm looking
why,
forward
and
to
I'll
it.
tell you why. Tell me why.
Honestly, I still know very little of the game. I just have Bethesda is one of those companies, one of the few game companies left that I still have faith in to develop a truly good RPG. Fallout 76 had its faults at launch, but that's because they tried something very new and different that they had not done before. You know what I
Also,
mean?
they rushed to launch. It was very incomplete.
Exactly.
So.
This is them going back to what they know, you know, in my opinion, but with a new IP, something fresh, you know what I mean? And I know very little about the game, so there is, for me, the game is still definitely shrouded in an element of a mystery, but it's also like, I know I'm going to get invested. I know I'm going to get like emotionally invested in the characters, in the story, and I think it's one of those games where I'm gonna have multiple like playthroughs. Same with
Mm-hmm.
Fallout. Same with the Elder Scrolls series. Like I'm gonna have multiple playthroughs with it. That's the one that I'm most excited for. Is that even though there's been, I'd say there's less hype for it now. I feel like closer to the time, there's gonna be so much hype for this
Mm-hmm.
game again. You know what I mean? And then I'm excited for it. It's gonna be it's I don't think it's gonna be on Game Pass right away. Maybe not on launch. I
What?
mean, it could be day one. What do you think? Starfield?
No,
Day
Starfield's day
one on
one.
Game Pass?
It's day
Oh
one.
hell yeah!
It is
Another
day
reason for me to
one.
look forward to it. Yeah, it's just I don't know, like it's just I just have a feeling about it, man. I just
Mm-hmm.
have a feeling that I'm gonna really enjoy it, and it was very close with Elden Ring for me, even though they're
Mm-hmm.
two very differently styled games.
Mm-hmm.
But that's probably the one that I'm looking forward to. Like yeah, out of the entire year, like I'm looking forward to that the most. Um, Something that didn't make the list for me is because one of the things that I did want to mention, we might mention it later, it didn't make the list for me is the Final Fantasy Origin game coming out. The
Mm-hmm.
reason I didn't mention it is because it's like it's similar to Elden Ring in terms of combat by the looks of
Mm-hmm.
things. It's got that Souls-like combat. I'm excited for that too, but I think it's going to be a very short game.
Mm-hmm.
It has that feeling where it seems like it's going to be a very good experience, but a very short experience. The Elden Ring seems like it's going to be long, lots of lore.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, Starfield's my number one. Crazy that we had the same. I had a sneaky, suspicious feeling
Yeah,
we
I
were going to
didn't
have the same
know.
number
Yeah,
one.
yeah, I didn't know you were gonna go that route. To be honest with you, because we had a lot. I mean, obviously we had some similar ones, but we also
Mm.
have different interests. I had this as number one. One, I like you. I'm a big Bethesda fan. I think the one thing that drew me to it is that so we had Outer Worlds, which was from Obsidian, who is known for Fallout New Vegas, and they also have some of the developers from the original Fallout. They made Outer Worlds, which was great, but that was basically like Fallout in space, right? In terms of the gameplay mechanics, the story, the characters, it was very similar
Yeah.
in that scope. But I did think they kind of streamlined the interface, which was nice. But when I heard about Starfield, I was like, oh, okay, so they're making their Fallout in space. But really, once we saw that trailer and heard more about it, I think what interests me even more is that it's not exactly Fallout in space
It's
in
not,
terms of
yeah.
tone.
It's not
It's
what you're thinking at all. There's no like,
it's
it's not gritty. It's
well, it's
well, I
also
mean,
more
it might be gritty,
serious.
but
It's more
yeah,
serious
yeah,
than
more rooted in reality. You know?
yeah, so it's not like that kind of tongue-in-cheek, kind of absurd humor that you get with some of the Fallout series and you get in the Outer World. It looks like it's taken a much more almost Mass Effect like approach to
Yeah,
the series, and so I think that has got me really excited and interested in where they're going to take it.
yeah. We haven't seen the combat as far as I know.
No.
But I am looking forward to it because the reason why I was looking forward to this game more than the Outer Worlds, and this was even when they announced the Outer Worlds, I was like, oh, I'm gonna love this, but I still know that I'm gonna enjoy Starfield more, and that was like way back, like way back.
Mm,
I played the Outer Worlds and I love the Outer Worlds. It is one of my favorite games. I played multiple playthroughs with
mm-hmm,
multiple endings, but the downside to that game is that for me it's just too tempting to be smart in the game
mm,
if that makes sense, because it's one of those the way the Outer Worlds works is that you can literally talk your way out of almost anything.
mm,
You know, if you really know how to, if you know how to talk to people, if you know what stats to raise and to boost, you can pretty much do that game almost completely without having to like really kill anybody or like fight anybody, which I think is great. That's one of the playthroughs I
mm-hmm,
did where I went like very passive and sneaky and just kind of got through everyone that way. But it was fun, but it was like just the lacking in the combat department, and Bethesda has always balanced that pretty well, I think, where it's like there's perfect balance between the dialogue trees
mm-hmm,
and the combat,
mm-hmm,
whereas the Outer Worlds was like a bigger emphasis on dialogue trees
mm-hmm.
and options and those kinds of things, you know.
I'm also interested in seeing how Starfield handles the worlds, right? Because
Mm.
in Outer Worlds, it's semi-open world, much like Mass Effect, semi-open world, where yes, there's a lot of places to go, and when you get there, you kind of walk around. But the world is very, it's not huge, right? Each place is like, okay, it's a decent size, but it's not like humongous. I'm wondering how Starfield is going to handle that. Is it going to keep the same thing where it's like there's going to be a bunch of different worlds, but each world isn't that big,
Yeah.
or they're gonna tackle be like, really, there's only like 5 places you can go, but each place is humongous. I don't know how they're gonna
I hope
end
that
it.
that's the route I hope that they go, in my
Mm-hmm.
opinion. Like I hope it's like 4 or 5 really big places,
Mm-hmm.
which like sorry, not
Outer
Outer
World.
Worlds had Outer Worlds had that where it's like they had like they had these like bigger worlds that you could go to, but they weren't like big. They were big enough for the game to be fun and for it to
Mm-hmm.
work. But in a game like Starfield, I would hope that the levels are larger. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like this might be a bit greedy, but with a game that involves like if a game that involves space exploration, where you most likely have vehicles as well, it would be good if like each level was the size of Skyrim on its own. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
If each like it doesn't have to be packed with so much stuff to do, because obviously a lot of it can just be like moving from terrain from side to side. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
In space, there's going to be a lot of desolation of nothingness. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Um, but yeah, I'm interested to see how they're going to do it as well. I'm looking forward to it, man. It's also just like it's new IP from
Yeah.
Bethesda. That's why it's number one on my list. Like I don't think like when like new IP from Bethesda. That's so weird, you
Yeah.
know?
So it's
Or
been
not.
a
It's
long
like
time.
it's been a very long time since they've done anything new at all. So yeah, really, really looking forward to that.
Yeah. All right. So that's our top 5. We ended up having number 1. Actually, let's just run down our list again. So number 5, I had Hogwarts Legacy, and you had what'd you have?
Total War Warhammer 5. Sorry,
Okay.
Total War Warhammer 3.
And number 4, I had Redfall, and you had Hogwarts Legacy, right?
I had Hogwarts Legacy,
Number 3, I had Elden Ring, and you had Pokemon. I don't know how to
Pokemon,
put
and
it.
Breath of the Wild.
Okay.
Um, which I would probably replace it with Breath of the Wild because
Okay.
I don't know. It's one of those things where I like them both too much. I can't decide.
Okay.
But yeah,
Number 2, I had God of War Ragnarok, but that's where you had Elden Ring, right?
I had Elden Ring there, number
Yeah.
2.
Which I almost had it. I was debating God of War and Elden Ring. I was like, okay. And then number 1, we both had Starfield.
We both had Starfield. Yeah.
All right, so let's talk about some of the other games coming out this year that are pretty big that people are looking forward to. I mean, we won't get super in depth. One we mentioned already, Horizon Forbidden West. I had mentioned it wasn't on my list just because I haven't played the first game, and so even though it looks very good and probably might be one of the best games of this year, I just haven't delved into the first game, which I plan on doing. It's just there's a lot of games, got a lot of games to be played.
There is.
Why didn't it make your list again?
I just don't have one, and it's
You don't have a
sad 'cause it's
PS5.
like
Okay.
I don't have a PS5, and it's sad, and it's like I want to wait for it to come to PC because I feel like it's gonna come to PC quicker than it did last. Like I don't think I'm gonna have to wait 3 years.
No, but
You
you
know,
still
I
wait
think
2 years.
I think I'll have to. I think possibly a year and a half even.
Like Death
I know a
Stranding.
I, well, or like I think a Final Fantasy 15 years ago, it took about a year for them to come to
Okay.
PC. I could be wrong about that, but it took about a year, and then they had like their own
Mm-hmm.
like Windows Edition launch thing. I'm blanking, but yeah, no, I'm looking forward to that. It's the reason why I'm like slightly heartbroken by it because I know that I don't have the self-restraint to not just watch all the cutscenes on YouTube because I need to know what happens in the story. But it's sad because I know it'll be more rewarding to play
If
the
you
game
play it, yeah.
and to get invested. And it's like, so I'm gonna try not to. I'm gonna try my absolute best not to. But God, man, yeah, I don't know. Like I said, I may have to like rent a PS5 or something. See if that's like an option.
Let me ask you this: do you think PS5? This is a side question, but it's related. Do you think Sony will eventually do same day with PC? Because obviously they see there's a market for it. They're making money. Like you mentioned, the Horizon Zero Dawn came out on PC. That did take a few years. We just had God of War come out on PC. I mean, it's been a few years for that as well. But do you feel like
they did just acquire a studio like a couple months ago specifically for bringing games to PC.
Yeah.
So we might see it happen at a more rapid rate.
So, but right now you're predicting like a 1-year turnaround, right? Like,
For most of their games, I think so. Yeah,
but
maybe one day they'll get to the point where it's 6 months apart. But day one, I don't think so.
Just because they want people to buy a PS4, right? Or not PS5 or whatever console.
Not this generation, maybe next generation, but definitely not this generation. You know, it's like And even then, by next generation, who knows? Maybe we'll be full force in streaming with gaming streaming, and then they'll just be having their uh their streaming service instead. Have it day one on there, you know. Um, yeah, I don't think it's. Yeah, I just don't see them ever doing day one with PC for the sake of selling consoles until that becomes an
Yeah.
obsolete factor. You know, until they start relying more on a subscription model,
Uh,
I see them doing at most 6 months. But then but no, I feel like people would complain with a 6 months release date because then they know that they were working on it before the time. Because there's no way that you can have both of them ready so close to each other if you weren't working on them at the same time. You know,
Simultaneously. Yeah.
exactly. So yeah, I think a year is. Yeah, I think a year is doable.
Yeah. I think the problem. I mean, obviously from the consumer standpoint, obviously we wouldn't want to wait that long, but from a developer standpoint or publisher standpoint, you have to market it twice, which is kind of annoying, right? It's like instead of like, okay, if it comes out, let's say God of Ragnarok comes out on a certain day, like being able to tell, hey, you can buy this on PS5, but you can also buy this on PC same day. So what they're doing now is like, okay, we're marketing it. It's a huge game. It's successful, and then a year from now, we got to remarket the PC one to let people know that it's coming out. You know.
Yeah,
Um, so
that
but
makes sense.
but I don't know. We'll see what happens with that. Some more big games coming out this year. Gotham Knights and Suicide Squad are both coming out this year. I think wasn't Gotham Knights supposed to come out last year? If I'm not mistaken, I can't remember.
I'm not too sure.
I
I
can't
just
remember
know
which
we've
one.
seen
Yeah.
there's more gameplay we've seen for
Yeah.
Suicide Squad, which does look fun. I was on the seat. I was kind of like on yeah. For me, I was not excited about the Suicide Squad game until I saw the gameplay, and then I was like, you know what, this looks like fun. I actually want to try this out. Story looks interesting too. There's a couple games that you know what I forgot. Well, I don't know. I see it on a list here, and I don't believe it because
Mhm.
we haven't heard anything about it. But supposedly, Fable's supposed to come out this year.
No way.
It's not going to come out. If it was going to come out, it would have been like number two on my list or something, you know?
Yeah, I don't
But
think it's coming out. I don't think Perfect Dark is coming out this year either.
no.
Just
I'm not going to lie. There was a game that almost made my number like that was very close to making my list, which is the Among Us VR. I am really excited for Among Us VR.
it's
I think it'll
interesting.
be like the second coming of Among Us, especially with streamers and stuff again. But yeah, I'm not even joking. Legitimately looking forward to Among Us VR. I think it's going to be awesome.
Nice. Rainbow Six Extraction is coming out in a week.
Yeah, on Game Pass as well,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, we talked about that. Yeah, it's gonna be day one Game Pass. I think they're doing it two reasons: one, to get more hype behind it, and two, to get that player base. Because that's the whole thing, right? With these online multiplayer games, is you want to get as many people as possible in the beginning, so there's just it's ongoing, right? To get the momentum going, and then
Yeah.
if it, let's say it drops off Game Pass 6 months from now, they don't care. They've already built up that fan base and that kind of
I think they're going to do really well as well, considering Rainbow Six Siege came out so long ago and it has a die-hard fan base. Um, yeah, and it's a very
look at
competitive
me
game
like
too.
look at me like I wasn't planning on buying it, but guess what? Now that I hear it's on Game Pass, I will be downloading and trying out. I mean, that's the whole thing. That's all the benefit of Game Pass. This game Sifu looks really cool. It's PlayStation and PC
That's
only.
coming out soon as well, isn't it?
I remember it got delayed, and then I'm not sure where it's at right now in terms of the
Yeah, and I think it's
list.
I could be wrong, but I think
Hold
it's
on.
possibly only on the Epic Games Store for PC. That is
Uh,
because I know I saw it on the
Uh,
Epic Games Store
let
for
me see
pre-order.
where Sifu's, yeah, February 8th.
Yeah, and it's soon.
So it's
'Cause it popped
PS.
up recently.
Yeah, it's for PlayStation and PC only. Yeah, looks fun.
I'm really looking forward to that game as well. Really excited for
Another
that.
PlayStation exclusive is Gran Turismo 7 on March 4th. That's
Yeah.
coming out. Like I said, I'm not big into driving games, but kind of Forza kind of
Yeah, you
turned me around
can't go
on.
wrong with Gran Turismo, you
Yeah.
know. Well, mind you, apparently the Formula One game that was on PlayStation was really good. The recent one for PS5.
Mhm.
Supposedly that was really good. So, but yeah, there's definitely a market for those a lot more realistic racing games.
Dying Light 2, Stay Human, February 4th. We just mentioned that it was, I guess, currently the number 2 most anticipated game on Steam. It was number 1. I never played the first one, but the second one seems to be pretty hype. It's going to be on
Yeah, there's been a lot of hype
all.
for a long time for it.
Yeah, it's going to be on all the different platforms: PlayStation, Xbox, and PC. Um,
Oh yeah,
are,
well, I mean, just because we were talking about God of War as well,
uh,
it's worth mentioning that the PC version just released today.
yeah. Um, let's see. If I hadn't just played it recently, I mean, recent to me is like if I played it in within a
Yeah,
year or two.
I'm actually thinking of picking up the Horizon game, um, just because it's
Forbidden.
affordable and
Oh,
it's been a
sorry,
while
Zero
since I've
Dawn.
played it.
Zero Dawn. Yeah.
Yeah, the original one. Because I haven't played it in a while, and I kind of want to. If I am gonna binge it on YouTube or watch a streamer play it, then I may as well like recap myself. You know what I mean? Play the game,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm sure it'll look great on PC.
Mm-hmm. All right, and then we mentioned Avatar: Frontiers of Pandora. That's supposedly coming out this year. I don't know.
Final Fantasy Origin as well.
I Yeah, they don't have a date for Avatar. This is 2022.
Yeah,
Um,
I mean I don't think it'll be delayed though. I have
yeah.
that feeling. I don't think it's gonna be delayed.
Ghostwire Tokyo is supposed to be come out early
Yeah.
2022. Uh, yeah. So I think
The
that's
w-
all the.
the weirdest thing that like this article reminded me of was that the Arc 2 trailer with Vin Diesel. Like I thought that was I thought that was some kind of like weird dream I had, but that was a real thing that they advertised the fact that they're even making a second Arc game already kind of blows my mind because well the first one did really well. I really enjoyed it. I played with friends online. I played the just survival alone as well. I had a lot of fun with that game. So I just don't know what they would really do to make a second game besides like a graphical update. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Like it's like Minecraft. You would just keep like you would essentially just keep releasing newer patches and improve upon the existing game that you already have.
Mhm.
But yeah, I'm not too sure. Maybe they'll add a story or something.
Yeah.
Who knows? Um, yeah, that raised my eyebrows. Like that is a game I'm going to be keeping my eye out for just because I have literally no idea what to expect.
Mm.
Yeah.
All right, that's it, on my list. There's any other games you want to mention before we move on to the next topic?
Um, let's see here. Nope.
All right. This next topic is something I think it came out maybe even before we did our last podcast, but it's kind of gained some traction, which is this whole thing about the PS exclusive Days Gone and how the director had said it had outsold uh, Ghost of Tsushima, but they were treated like crap or treated like it was a big failure and disappointment. They said that they had estimated that Days Gone had sold about 8 million or 9 million copies, which was more than Ghost of Tsushima, which Ghost of Tsushima has been kind of hailed as like the biggest new IP for PlayStation recently, and people have been kind of fawning over it, including myself. But the director Jeff Ross was just saying like how he was just not too happy that the way that his whole team was treated uh, after that game came out, because it wasn't quite as well received in terms of critically, but it did sell a lot. What do you think about this?
Okay. So I had to read more because I just wanted to make sure because I was like, is this before or after the Steam? But the 8 million copies that
It's after.
that was yeah. So yeah. So they got an extra they basically got an extra million plus from Steam. But before that, it was 8 million copies on PlayStation,
Uh-huh.
which it's weird. I don't know. I just like this might be like pretty messed up of me saying this, but I just recall people being very disappointed in that game when it came
Mm-hmm.
out. And the only people I know that enjoyed that game are people that played it on PC, where I think it may have possibly been optimized more, or
Hmm.
maybe it looked better. Um, like I saw clips when that game first came out, where the motorcycle, which is like it's a big part of that game, it's your main source of transportation. It was in the trailer and everything as well, so I'd assume you're using it all the time. The mechanics were really bad, like the driving mechanics were kind of bad. Shooting looked good though, like for the most part, it could have been a bit average. But everybody know who played it, they were just kind of like meh, like they weren't like super disappointed by it. Like they played it, but I nobody raved
Nobody
about
was
it that I
talking
know.
about it. Like Ghost of Tsushima, when
Like
it came
nobody.
out,
Yeah.
everybody was raving about it. The graphics, the gameplay, the story, like it was all. I remember for that like month after it came out, people were just talking about it all the time. Days Gone was not so much. It kind of had been expected to be like the next Last of Us, I guess.
Yeah.
And
I
and
mean, look,
people,
what like there was a lot of hype when they did their E3 trailer, like their big E3 trailer. There was a lot of hype to it.
hmm
Everyone was like, "Whoa, this looks crazy." Like look at these hordes of zombies. We'd never seen it before. Yeah, and then World War Z came out. Which people didn't like talk about that game either, but it
that
was
was
I would say
that's an undiscovered gem.
yeah, it was more like spoken about than Days Gone. I just know people. I don't know. Everyone I know that played it just said it was a bit dull.
Yeah.
But then once again, everybody I know that played it on PC said that they loved it. But that could just be a different crowd. Maybe it was just more suited to them. Maybe it just plays better on mouse and keyboard. I have no idea. It is a game that I do actually want to try and play myself,
hmm
but I don't know, man. I think this game. I think this guy's just salty.
hmm
Like I think he's just a little salty, man. That
hmm
like it didn't get spoken about as well
hmm
as Ghost of Tsushima, or didn't win awards the way Ghost of Tsushima is a beautiful ass looking game as well.
hmm
Like to the point where it's surreal. Like it looks. It's not that it looks so beautiful because it doesn't. It's not beautiful because it looks surreal. It's beautiful because it looks almost painterly in certain aspects. You know what I mean? Like, and I'm not saying that Days Gone wasn't beautiful, but it was like very dark, very gritty.
hmm
And like, look, man, a post-apocalyptic zombie games can be depressing,
hmm
especially if you do it right and you do it realistic. They're gonna be depressing, you know. Ghost of Tsushima had like that bit of whimsy, and it's like you're fighting for your honor, and like it's I don't know, it just clicked with me more, man.
Yeah.
And I think that was the way for most people as well. He just sounds a bit salty. Like I don't want to say it, but even like when he complained and he's complained about this before,
hmm
like a couple months ago as well. You know what I mean?
hmm
Like he was complaining about the backlash of the game in the first place when it launched, like about a year after it, or when he left. Yeah, like when he left Sony around that
hmm
time, he was complaining about it too. And he like I just I'm I feel like it's one of those cases where a lot of time and effort was put into this game,
hmm
and and him and a lot of people worked really hard on it. And I think he at the bottom of his heart believes that this game deserves to be um, more liked or more played. And I think there are people out there that love this game, but for a lot of people it just wasn't for them, you know?
hmm
Um, the game does look polished now, like especially now on PC. Like I actually definitely want to pick it up when it's on sale sometime. I think I'll have a lot of fun with it. I think I'll be invested in it. But there's nothing like it's a solid game, but like I can't really give it a score until I play it. But I feel like if I had to play the game, I would give it like an 8 out of 10, which is generous.
hmm
Whereas Ghost of Tsushima is like a 9.5, basically 10 out of 10 almost. You know, there's just something about it. It just sets it apart. It's beautiful. The combat was different as well, you know.
hmm
I don't
Yeah,
know.
Ghost of Tsushima
Yeah.
for me was like that year was like a stellar year for games because for as
Mm.
fantastic of a game Ghost of Tsushima was, it was my number 3 game because that was the same year Last of Us Part 2 came out and Half-Life Alyx. Like in any normal year, Ghost of Tsushima would probably be my favorite game of the year, but it just happened to be in the same year as those two kind of milestone games. So,
Yeah.
but Ghost of Tsushima is also a game that would get me to buy a PS5, whatever the
Oh,
sequel
for
will
sure.
be,
Yeah.
So, eventually that's going to come to PC, like the way.
I'm gonna get it and I'm gonna
The,
play it all over again. And you know what? You know what, Dennis? When it comes to PC, I'm gonna convince every PC gamer I know to get it just so I can play Ghost of Tsushima Legends.
hmm
Just so we can get that co-op going again. Yeah.
All right. Let's move on to another Sony related topic. So,
Yeah, this one was
strangely,
weird.
yeah, this one's weird. So it seems like in order, I know this isn't the whole reason, but it's almost like the PS5 shortage has led Sony to make more PS4s than initially planned. So basically, it's almost like, well, we're gonna solve this PS5 shortage. Well, how? Making? Are you gonna make more PS5s? No, no, no. We're gonna make some more
Make more
PS4s.
PS4s.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I know like that's not ultimately what they want to do. It's just to like alleviate that. But for me, it's like I don't get that, to be honest. Like if I want a PS5, I already have a PS4. But let's say I wanted a PS, I didn't have a PS4 and I wanted a PS5. Would I really want to buy a system that's like, going to be?
Like what? Like almost 10 years old. I could be wrong about that.
Yeah.
Like it's like 8, 9 years old, somewhere around there. What came out like I want to say 2012, 2013,
Yeah.
2012. I could be wrong, but
Yeah.
yeah, it's no, you're right. No, no, no. I think it was like 2014, 2013, 2014, somewhere around there. Yeah, could have come out 2014. But the point is, well, it was 7 years old when Cyberpunk came out, and that was about 2 years. That was about
That was
what, like
2
2 years
years
ago. So
ago. I think
yeah,
that's
so it's
two
like
years.
8.5, 9 years old.
Yeah.
That's how old the console is.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I agree. I wouldn't do it either. It doesn't make sense. A lot of people, like, there's a bit of backlash to this because people don't understand chip shortages. Like, I saw a lot of forums and I saw a lot of people complaining. They're like, if there's a chip shortage, how can you make PS4s and not PS5s? And
This
it's
is a
like people
different
don't
chip.
click they don't click, Dennis. They don't click
Well,
that
how does it
they
not
just,
click? Then why are you buying a PS5? That's what I don't
you know,
understand. Like, why do you think you're paying extra money for? If they got the exact same chip, why the hell are you buying?
because people just read chip shortage, so they're assuming like, oh, okay,
Uh,
like they're all the same.
it's not
I'm
the
not
same
joking,
chip.
Dennis. And like some of the people I was like, these are gamers, Dennis. These aren't and these are
That's,
people that should know that there are multiple chips. Um.
that's like saying
Anyways,
if there's a shortage for whatchamacallit, an RTX 3080, that there should be a chip shortage for the 1080. Like
yeah.
it's not the
It's
same
it doesn't
chips.
it does yeah, it's so dumb. But yeah, but even like besides the whole chip shortage part, a lot of people are just like, "Oh, how can you make more PS4s and not PS5s?" Like it's not the same parts anyways. A lot
Yeah,
and
that
yes, you would be surprised. I saw a lot of people complaining about that
wow.
on various social media platforms where they're
Wow.
just like, well, the general consensus is that it's a dumb choice to do this, which I kind of agree with, but I don't really agree with. But I do kind of agree with it. Whereas I don't think it's necessary for them to like boost the sales of PS4s. I think like they're just not going to stop selling PS4s anytime soon. Like I don't think they're going to make more PS4s. I think they're planning on like not producing them at a certain point, and that's going to now extend.
Yeah, yeah. So
Like yeah, I just don't see people lining up to go and get a PS4 because they can't get a
so
PS5.
on a kind of
Like
similar side subject to this, this is why people are actually praising Microsoft's choice to make the Xbox Series S, because the
yes, that's
Series
smart.
S is actually semi-available now. Like you'll be able to. It's not always in stock, but it's much more in stock than an Xbox Series X or a PS5. And so they've been able to sell those, and it's not like this whole PS4 thing, because the Xbox Series S does play all the next gen games. And it's just
It is the best budget option for
yeah.
for next gen gaming, especially because of Game
Yeah,
Pass. Like
it's a Game Pass machine.
yeah, I'm part of so many like gaming forums, and there's always like older moms or dads that are like, "Oh, my son, he wants to get into gaming. Like, what should I get him? Like, this is the price point." And everyone always says, "Get the Series S. It's the best bang for your buck, especially if he's like a younger kid. He's not going to really care
Mm-hmm.
about like you know what I mean, the quality and things like that too much. So
The
get in the Series S and then
1440p
get
versus 4K. He's not gonna be able to tell the
he's not going to
difference.
care or notice, and then get him Game Pass. And it's like, and almost always they like, we mention the price point, or like people mention it, and she's like, boom, let's do that.
It's a Best deal in
It
gaming.
it's
That
it's a good
combo is
deal,
the
and
best deal in gaming. So
it is currently it's definitely the best deal in gaming in my opinion. So that makes sense. I just I don't it's just such a weird article because it's like I get like but then the question is like how much more PS4s are they making? Are they just making slightly more? Because then it's like
I,
okay, yeah, I can see them on doing that. But if they're like boosting the sales by a lot, then that's a dumb idea. I don't think they would do that.
yeah, I
They're
don't
probably
know
just
either. I just
slightly increasing the
yeah,
production.
it's just not a solution. You know what I mean to the
There's a lot
problem.
of secondhand PS4s out there too. Like that's why it's like also like a I don't see them making money this way either. Or like I guess they need a because well from what I was reading from a different article, it's that supposedly they are going to be getting the chips, um, possibly towards the end of 2022, 2023. That's
Hmm.
when they can start producing PS5s again at like the rate that they want to. So I guess they're just trying to find a way for them to like continue to make money throughout the year until the chip shortage is done.
Yeah.
It's almost like a slight desperate attempt.
Right
It's sad. It's
now,
sad.
right now with my PC and with Game Pass, I'm in not in a hurry to get either Xbox Series X or a PS5. I may, eventually get a Xbox Series S, but I'm not even sure I will. I mean, it depends. I got to think about it. Since most of those games are going to be on PC anyways, it's just like, yeah, I'm just not, you know,
I'd
strange.
assume they would have like pumped out like the PS4 Pro at least, you know what I mean? Instead of like the PS4 like
Mm-hmm.
but from what they're saying, they're not selling more of them. They're just extending
Mm-hmm.
the what's it? Yeah, they're extending production throughout 2022. But then they were asked, they're like, does that mean that you're planning on ending production? And they were like, no. They denied that they would
Mm-hmm.
ever have done that. But it seemed like a very lawyer answer. We
Mm-hmm.
cannot confirm nor deny the fact that we would have stopped production of PS4s in 2022.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's just a case of them extending production rather than just making like more than what they're already making. They're just not ending production. Um, I can understand that as well. I think that there is a gap in the market for people who want to play PlayStation games. Like I mean, you can still play like you're not going to be playing the newest PS5 games, but there's a couple PS5 games that are still coming out on PS4. You know?
Well, yeah, I mean, you can still play what Miles Morales on the PS4. Returnal, you
Yeah.
cannot. That's purely PS5
I don't
exclusive.
think Ratchet and Clank Rift, the new Ratchet and Clank
Uh
game, I
huh.
think that could have been exclusive as well.
Yeah. All right. Let's move on to the next topic, which is this one's, a little, what would we say, a little bump in the road for, I guess, Xbox or Microsoft because Stalker 2 has been delayed. Developer came out and said that it's not going to be out until this December. So GSC Game World has said, yeah, that the date has been shifted to December this year. So it's technically still coming out in 2022, but they need more time. December 8th, 2022.
Yeah,
So
this
initial.
actually leads me to question whether if you'd be willing to maybe later this week we could do a video on NFTs in the gaming industry because it's a pretty in-depth like discussion to have, and there would be a lot to look at for that. 'Cause it seems like a lot of gaming companies really want to push NFTs,
Mhm.
and they're getting a lot of backlash for it, but they're still like they're gonna want to push it eventually again because they see it playing into the metaverse. But that's a topic for another time. Yeah, the delay is unfortunate. Um, Man, when did the first Stalker come out? That was a long time ago.
Yeah, let me see. It was
It was announced in 2010, like Stalker 2.
2007.
Yeah, I was gonna say
2007. No, hold
Stalker
on.
2 was announced in 2010, which is like fucking 12 years ago.
Yeah, it's been a while. It's been a while. So it's been delayed. It's an Xbox slash PC exclusive, so this kind of hurts Microsoft, but I think they'll be fine.
Yeah.
I mean, with all the stuff
No,
that they have coming out.
I was gonna
Uh,
say they're 100%, they're fine. They're so Gucci. It's not even a question. They'll be fine. Man, I just can't believe this game's coming out after all these years.
uh,
I suppose that was what people said when it got announced, again. But
yeah.
man, same. We're getting Homeworld 3 this year, which is also like a third sequel to a game that came out like almost 20 years ago or something.
Yeah, I
So
remember when
that's
the
crazy.
first one
Yeah.
came out. It's
So
crazy.
that's crazy. I can't believe, and like the graphics are pretty much similar.
Yeah.
We're just getting like a continuation. That's crazy. Homeworld 3. Well, to be fair, I think it's because the younger generation actually played Homeworld, because of the success of Undertale. Um, Undertale was very similar to Homeworld, and because people loved Undertale,
Hmm.
they then after they played Undertale, a they played Homeworld like from a long time ago, which I think is that's quite cool. So the younger generation has played it, so it makes sense for them to have come out with a third game this year.
Yeah. All right. I think this next topic is the last one that I have, but it's the one that you brought up. Do you want to tell us more about this? Rockstar
Yeah.
and
So
Zynga. They just bought Zynga.
well, yeah, they bought Zynga in like a $12.7 billion deal, um, which is insane. That's a huge acquisition. Uh, I saw this news a while ago because they were still in talks of possibly doing it, and I
Hmm.
was thinking like, what could they possibly be planning? And I don't know why, but the first thing I thought of was like some kind of like just them doing like a new IP for mobile devices possibly. But no, it was a lot more obvious than that. The fact that I didn't consider it sooner is unfortunate, but it's so that they can bring their popular IP to mobile. Now, Take-Two Interactive, which owns Rockstar, has already got a fair amount of games on mobile that they've already done. Like a lot of the Grand Theft Auto games are already on mobile. Um, but they're not good. They're really bad ports onto mobile. Like they're not good. So I'm assuming they're getting Zynga to help them either port their games or to like just do newer versions of their games for mobile. Or maybe they'll just be set in the same universe as their like popular IPs, but they'll be mobile games. Because Zynga, they've been making mobile games for the longest time
And
now,
successfully, very
and
successfully.
success, yeah, and very successfully, like you said, yeah. So they're just like they're looking at their portfolio, 2K, Rockstar Games, and Private Division. They're looking at their uh, IP like Borderlands, Grand Theft Auto, Red Dead Redemption, NBA. I didn't even know they had Civilization. That's crazy.
Hmm.
Mafia, Alien Noir, Kerbal Space Program, Bioshock, and they're basically going to be pumping them through these other companies to like make more mobile versions of the game.
Hmm.
I wonder if, well, because these are like, I wonder if this might be like I could be this could be pure speculation and I could be reading into it too much, but I wonder if this is going to be like the start of high-end mobile gaming. You know, we're already kind of getting to there where it's like, yeah, people are still on the fence about mobile gaming, but Genshin Impact you can play on your phone,
Hmm.
and it's literally the exact same Genshin Impact that billions of people play on their PC.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? So we're getting to that point where with especially with the newer phones, you can run some pretty sweet like looking games on your phone. So I wonder if this is the start to like more high end mobile gaming. Um, and I think Zynga working with 2K and Rockstar and Private Division, I think working with those companies, because those companies already make good games, but whenever they do it, whenever they take an older, bigger game and they put it on mobile, it's always like the UI is trash. Zynga has been working in mobile games for years. They know how to do mobile game UI and touch controls and stuff like that better.
Hmm.
I think that that's going to play in their favor for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
Uh,
they were also like possibly looking at apparently taking some of the mobile IP that Zynga has and bringing it into their normal companies, which see
I
that
see.
being less of a thing.
Yes, I think that would be less successful. We're
Yeah,
taking a big, property like Grand Theft Auto and turn that into a very profitable mobile game is probably something they're looking more to do versus the other way around.
yeah. So it's also just a huge deal. I had no idea what to speculate, but yeah, that's I think yeah, I think we're gonna see like big things, mobile games. Look, Square Enix does a good job porting their stuff to mobile as well, I would say.
Hmm.
But and they have great IP that can be ported to mobile because old school RPGs are turn based. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? You can click on things. You can like you don't have to like coordinate your looking and walking at the same time because you're not in a 3D environment. Um, but yeah, so I'm excited to see what they're going to come up with moving forward. Um, oh, I had that aside for me just because I wanted to. This is just maybe this is not worth talking about, but there is a new My Hero Academia game coming out. Which it's an anime that I enjoy. But they're coming and like they've had two games before, but they're like kind of like Tekken style fighters, like that side scroll like 2D fighting like Tekken games like that. But they're supposedly now doing a battle royale, which is interesting. I wonder. Well, I guess they're gonna have to bring a lot of characters from the show into the game to make a battle royale. But I don't know how they would like. I don't know how the hell they're gonna balance it because each person has different abilities and powers. It's like almost like westerns. I know you probably don't know much about the show, but it's almost like it's a Japanese anime, but it's got a lot of like Western superhero influence into it, into the way that they like dress up in their suits and stuff like that. It is okay. Oh wait, hold on. Various. Okay. Oh no. Yeah, we don't know. Okay, I thought they listed the platform it's going to be on, but there's no word to that. But I just thought that would be worth mentioning for anybody that might like that. I thought that was really weird. But yeah, that's it for me.
Cool. I guess before we go, I just want to talk about what we've been playing. I just posted After the Fall VR review. If you guys don't know about that game, it's from Vertigo Games, who also did Arizona Sunshine, which basically that was a zombie shooter, and this is a zombie shooter. It's a blast. Check out my review. I talk about it. It's on the Quest 2. It's also on PC VR. If you buy it on Oculus, you have cross-buy, so you can play it both on PC VR and your Quest 2. But it's a lot of fun. It's 4-player co-op online. So it's basically Left 4 Dead, Back 4 Blood in VR.
Yeah,
and
I still haven't had the chance to play it yet.
Yeah.
I'm really looking for. I think I'm gonna get the chance to do it either next week or the week after. It's just because when I got the Quest, and it was one of those things where like the family got the Quest,
yeah.
So I had to get all the essentials, like games that are
Beat
easy
Saber,
to play for.
Beat Saber.
But also like Beat Saber. Like I got a fishing game, I got a golf game, I got that walk the plank, the Richie's plank experience. Got to do that, you know. Super Hot had that as well, but just so that it's like so I could show it to like my 10-year-old nephew or my 70-year-old father, you know what I mean, like so that anybody can get into it. My dad seems to he seems to really like Vader Immortal. It took me like a while to like get him into it, and I was like I bought him Vader even though I've already played episode 1. I got him episode 1 and 2, and I was like, try it, I think you'll have a good time. And he was like, no, I want to play the fishing game, but he couldn't really figure out the controls to the fishing game. So I was like, just play Vader Immortal. It's genuinely so much simpler. Like there's less to do, you know. I'm excited for a lot of games are getting hand tracking ability now, so I'm excited for him to try out the hand tracking with the Quest. But I'm borrowing the Quest from him either next week or the week after that.
Nice.
And I'm gonna be
definitely get on After the Fall.
Oh, absolutely. That's
a
the
blast.
First purchase. I said, I spent like so much, at least like $100 or $100 like $20 on like Oculus games as soon as I got it.
Yeah, I think it's a $30. It's one of the more expensive Oculus games, but it's worth. It's one of the higher end games, so you're getting your money's worth. It's a lot of games are 10, 15, $20. They aren't quite as big. This one is it's not AAA $60 game, but it's got a lot of good stuff in there.
It's still up there with price as well in terms of other games.
VR
games.
And then we mentioned it last week. Mass Effect Legendary Edition coming on EA Play, therefore being there for Xbox Game Pass Ultimate. I downloaded it. I finally started playing it. I didn't get very far. I probably put in a few hours into it, but yeah, I mean,
all 3 games together is huge. That's that'll take a very long time to get through.
Yeah, but just even playing the first game, it just reminded me of the first time I played that game on my Xbox 360. Obviously, the graphics are much better now. You can see the textures are, much higher res and all that stuff. Yeah, it just looks good. The lighting and everything. It looks good. The controls for the shooting is because I don't know if you remember, but like as Mass Effect got on, like Mass Effect 2 and 3, the actual gameplay mechanics got better.
Yeah.
They're a little still wonky on the first game. Like they're still fun, but it's a little wonky still. It's not the best, especially, I just came from playing Halo Infinite where that like game loop cycle is so damn good, when you go into
Exactly. Yeah.
combat. The combat in Mass Effect is just not that. The first one, at least, is
Yeah.
okay. It's
But
fine. It's
to
entertaining,
be
but
fair
it's
though,
not.
the game doesn't really thrive in its combat.
No,
Even like
no.
in the later games where the combat's better,
Yeah.
it's all about it's all about the choices and decisions you make. That's
Story, RPG, all that
yeah,
good stuff.
the
So,
characters,
yeah.
the
So,
sex scenes.
so yeah, that's what I've been playing. Those two games mostly. What about you?
I have been binging Valorant because they got the new season dropped, the new agent dropped. Her name is Neon. She's fast. She's like an edgy Emperor Palpatine because she shoots lightning out of her hands. She's Filipino. Because all the agents from Valorant are based from actual characters,
Mm-hmm.
like Jet being from South Korea and etc. etc.
Mm-hmm.
Well, they all from like specific places. I think there's two Americans in the game, but other than that, spread out all across the world, which is what I like. She's the first Filipino in the game.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't unlocked her yet, but she looks like a lot of fun. I can't wait to play her. So that's the main reason I've been binging is to unlock her because I refuse to pay for you. I could just buy her, but it's like I also know I could probably unlock her in like 3 or 4 days.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and there's no point in paying something that you can get just through
Mm-hmm.
playing the game. So I'm binging it. I'm looking forward to playing her, getting her unlocked. Been loving the new season. They've made a couple of changes. Um, that's been fun. Also, just recently got back into Portal 2
Mm-hmm.
because me and my girl have been gaming, and because she wasn't a gamer for so many, like she gamed a lot when she was younger, and then she just never had
Stop.
the
Yeah.
opportunity until this year. Just basically stopped. So now it's like coming back, kind of relearning that. So we play a lot of Heroes of the Storm, which is unfortunate because I hate the company, like Acti Blizzard. Um, but it's a fun MOBA. We enjoy playing that as a MOBA because it's the easiest out of all MOBAs available, if that makes sense. Like League of Legends is like a slightly easier version of Dota. It's still a very difficult game, very complex game. Heroes is like the even more simplified version because you don't have to worry about buying your equipment or items. You just choose what abilities to level up, and then you play through. And it's a lot more arcadey because each map has a different like objective for you to do rather than just pushing towers and lanes.
Mm-hmm.
So we've been playing a lot of Heroes. We've been playing a lot of Valheim because that was my game of the year for last year.
Mm-hmm.
And then talking about it with you got me really invested into the game again. And I was like, yeah, And there was a lot of updates recently that I haven't played. So I've been playing a lot of Valheim too. I've
Mm-hmm.
been enjoying that a lot actually. And then just recently, yeah, me and my lady have been playing Portal 2,
Nice.
which I love Portal 1 and 2, but Portal 2 had a co-op mode and it has its own like co-op puzzles and stuff. So we've been playing that. We've been having a good time with that. But a lot of Valorant, like more than usual. I don't know. I got bit by that Valorant bug again,
Mm-hmm.
man. I love I used to hate competitive games. I don't know
Mm-hmm.
what it is, and now it's like, well, I guess like I said, this game just it scratches an itch that I had no idea I had, and
Mm-hmm.
I love it, man.
Nice. All right. I guess that's it for this episode. You can follow me on Twitter at ThinkHero, Instagram Dennis.tzng. You can subscribe to this YouTube channel, youtube.com/Revog. This podcast is also on Anchor.fm and Spotify. Josh, where can people find you?
You guys can find me on Twitch at It's Thespis, just one word, all lowercase, and right here on the channel as well as in the Revog Discord.
Cool. All right. Until next time, we'll see you guys later.
Later.